signs of a possible thaw between North and South Korea. The two sides face to face for the first time in 2 years, with South Korea's president praising President Trump's efforts to bring them together. Quote, "I think President Trump deserves big credit for bringing about the inter-Korean talks. It could be a resulting work of the U.S.-led sanctions and pressure." Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is a Fox News strategic analyst, and he joins us now. Colonel.
Hi, Sandra.
So South Korea is giving the president a lot of credit here. Is that where the credit is due?
Well, there are two aspects to that. The first is that the administration's hard line on North Korea has startled the North Koreans and unsettled them, and so there's definitely some credit due there. But the other thing is that President Moon of South Korea has realized how you deal with President Trump. You praise him, and he's making sure to do that.
I suppose that's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, are you optimistic that these talks are going to lead to progress?
No, they're absolutely not going to lead to progress. This is North Korea doing two things. One, trying to drive a wedge between us and the South Koreans. And secondly, and most importantly, this is North Korea buying time for their missile and nuclear programs, because they have figured out that this is more effective than just insulting us and threatening to attack us. By starting negotiations, even negotiations over Olympic participation and minor issues, it makes it ever harder for us to take military action should we have to do so, should we be compelled to do so. So essentially, by opening negotiations with the South and dragging them out, on again, off again, it really complicates our strategic posture.
In the Wall Street Journal this morning, a piece by Jerry Seib talks about the administration weighing a risky strategy. In a piece titled "Amid Signs of a Thaw in North Korea, Tensions Bubble Up," Seib writes in that piece, the idea is known as the bloody nose strategy. React to some nuclear or missile test with a targeted strike against a North Korean facility to bloody Pyongyang's nose and illustrate the high price the regime could pay for its behavior. The hope would be to make that point without inciting a full-bore reprisal by North Korea, Colonel.
That would be utterly stupid. I mean, really, really, really bad idea. And it's been attributed to H.R. McMaster, which is very disappointing, our national security advisor. But I'm sure that SecDef Mattis, Jim Mattis, would never go along with that. Because if you try to do a bloody nose strike, a surgical strike, the North Koreans would be compelled to respond and escalate, and then we would have to decide whether we're going to escalate. We don't want war with North Korea. We don't want a military confrontation. But if it comes to it, if to protect American lives, we have to take military action, you got to do it right. You've got to do it comprehensively and broadly and hit them so hard that they cannot respond, cannot wage an attack on South Korea or Japan, which they would do in the wake of a bloody nose surgical strike. I mean, this is ludicrous thinking. It's not strategic. It's a fantasy world. And again, we don't want a war with North Korea. But boy, if we have to have one, we got to do it right and win it as fast as possible.
Well, the president has reiterated there is a military option, but that's the last option.
Yes.
If Seib continues to write in this piece what the key question is when it comes to these talks between the North and the South, asking the question whether the conversation can actually expand beyond the Olympics to include other topics Seoul wants to discuss, notably reunification of Korean families, split between the North and the South, and a general lowering of hostility. So you just wonder where these talks eventually go, Colonel. But for now, South Korea saying credit due to the President Trump, for making them happen. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you.